Hello and welcome. I'm your host Elizibar, and I just got done reading all the rest of Death Metal that I hadn't read before, and that was a lot of comic book pages. A lot of comic book pages. I mean, some of these are kind of hefty, man. They roll in here and they're all just like, I am gigantic and square bound because I'm an anthology. We're going to talk very briefly about all of these except for this one because I think I've already done like a review of 57. This just leads right into it. I didn't get this one like when it first came out. I got it like, a month later or something because I had 57. I'm like, huh, I feel like I'm missing a piece of the story. And well, you know how reliable comic book shippers company things are getting books to stores and then stores getting them into your hands and da 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 da. So, a little late on that guy. Anyway, it was actually pretty cool. The action stuff in there was pretty cool, and Comet being an invisible horse was also like kind of fun. We're going to talk very briefly about Aldous, and then we'll talk about Seven and get some final thoughts about death metal as a whole. This completely unnecessary, shouldn't exist. Crap, not worth the $5.99 that they charged me for it. There is was there anything in here that was interesting? Let's see. There's the Robin story. Oh, actually, the one story that was kind of cool was Zaz wanting to get turned into like a killer death cyborg or something. I don't really know what any of this is about, but that was kind of interesting just to watch his madness play out. There's some super pet stuff. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares? And ultimately, that's all this is a whole lot of who cares. None of this matters. None of this has any meaning. None of it has any value. It's just kind of there. Let's just check that over there. This one, on the other hand, actually pretty cool. Although I kind of feel like they're mocking comic book readers at the start of this, but as it goes on, man, everybody in the DC universe is like, man, that Superboy Prime guy, he's no good, and he just rolls in and starts punching the snot out of the Darkest Night, and that was all pretty fun. I actually really enjoyed this, and the end of this one is basically the answer to a question at the end of Death Metal or Dark Knight's Death Metal number 7. At least I think it is. I also don't think any of it really matters. Speaking of things that don't matter, this should have been like 2 pages or 4 pages in this book. This should not have been its whole own book. The only thing in here that was really valuable and really fun was all the Titans and some of their villains hanging out here, and this bit here with Donna. Hey, Donna, are you good or bad now? I can never keep track. Nobody knows what the story is with Donna Troy anymore, man. But we just like visit all the different DC heroes and see like their last moments before the big battle, which starts in Dark Knight's Death Metal number 6, which you can't really read because it's a shiny cover and yeah, I like how Wonder Woman isn't shiny. That's actually a good touch. So you got a bunch of villains. Well, you got a bunch of evil villains. You got a bunch of heroes and villains, and they have a throwdown. The Darkest Night and Perpetua are going at it. They have a great battle. There's lots of fun stuff in here. And we really set up the stakes for the last issue. But wait, there's more. Because we don't just jump right to, issue 7. No, no. Now we have another one shot. Why? I found a website somewhere. Do I still have that reading list open? That like showed like the reading list for how to get through this. So you got Death Metal 1 and 2, then you got Legend of the Dark Knights and Death Metal 3, then the Death Metal Guidebook, then Death Metal Trinity Crisis, then Justice League 53, Speed Metal Multiverses End, Justice League 54, Robin King, Death Metal 4, Justice League 55, Rise of the New God, Justice League 56, Death Metal Infinite Hours Extreme, which actually that was a lot more fun than had any right to be, Justice League 57, Dark Knight's Death Metal 5, Multiverse Who Laughs, Secret Origin, The Last Tours of the DC Universe, which we just said was like kind of pointless, Death Metal 6, then The Last 15 War of the Multiverses, right here, and then Death Metal 7. This should have just been like Death Metal 1 through like 20 or whatever. Like, I don't know why we're doing all these tie-ins. There's actually some cool stuff in here. This one, more than a lot of the other tie-ins, ties right into the main story. If you need to go from Death Metal 6 to 7, you probably should read this one shot, at least the first story, because it's all about the crazy stuff. We introduce a lot of the one note, one off villains in here. Batman versus the Batman who laughs again before he became the dark, like his dead body getting up and moving around again. Wonder Woman exploring, like an alternate Wonder Woman type stuff. The Penguin actually has a really great story in here. I really enjoyed that. It was pretty cool. And I thought the art in this was terrible when I was looking at it on stream. I'm pretty sure I pointed that out. Like, this doesn't look like it belongs in this book. But it turns out that this John Constantine story is banging. Absolutely, completely, 100%, totally rocking. This one is a pretty cool book. So out of all these, before we get to 7 here, let's see. Well, that's essential. We don't need to talk about that. That's completely non-essential. Don't read it. This was cool, but ultimately probably not really essential to read. Not, doesn't matter. So we're left with like 3 out of the last 6 books and tie-ins that actually you should read. Now, the Secret Origin thing, I really did enjoy that. So if you want to read it, just know I did enjoy it. I think it's actually a lot of fun. But whether it matters, whether it's important, it probably isn't. Because aside from explaining why Superboy Prime isn't there punching things with everybody else in issues 6 and 7, there's not much point to it. Now, Death Metal 7, the end of the series, was really cool, man. Yeah, we went vertical for whatever reason. And this is a great one-page oomph right there. That really kind of encapsulates everything that's going on. This is extremely super, mega, ultra DC Comics. And I really liked the attitude of just grabbing a planet and smashing it into somebody's face. That's like in the Infinity Gauntlet when the Celestials are hurling planets at in the final stand that they make. You know, the limited cosmic powers against the infinite cosmic power. Just bam, planet to the face. There's a lot of really high concept stuff, and there's a lot of low concept stuff. Like we alternate between this big intergalactic, universal scale craziness between Wonder Woman, who's powered up. I didn't really talk about what happened in Death Metal 6, did I? In one of these, somewhere, her and the army of Lobos go to like the Forge of Worlds, and this is why she's golden. This is like the metal of truth that she's girded herself with as she goes to bat with, the cosmic horror that is the Darkest Night, the being who just supplanted Perpetua as the ultimate thing in the universe. And so we go between like their very high concept stuff of how truth and hope will always fall to his evil or whatever, to Grundy breaking a dinosaur's mouth open. I love it. I absolutely. Oh man, these panels were just great. I loved all the fighting in this book. It was really cool looking. There's one bit where the Joker's like cut in half, and he's like, "Give me a second to get myself back together again." Let me see if I can find that real quick here. You're getting like little hints of, yeah, there it is. Just there he is, just cut in half, holding his guts, laughing. Because, he's the Joker, but things are not going so well for the heroes here. Like, look at Bane, man. And he makes a good comment. I'm trying, pretty boy. It's a lot of backs to break. And all those poor Robins, man. I mean, they're fighting like an infinite number of Robins. I don't think things are going to go quite the way they want it to. Superman is battling an evil Superman who is like a living sun and is absorbing everything, and Luthor comes to his aid. It's absolutely glorious. This book is full of just lots of cool stuff. This feels like Final Crisis, kinda. In the sheer grandiose sweep of it. Also feels like the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Like it's definitely in that vein. And for that, it's a lot of fun. It also feels like this should be just like Final Crisis did. This feels like this should be just the last story with these characters. Like their stories are all over. Um, there's nothing left. Like they've reached the end. But of course, these characters are all multi-million-dollar franchises. They're all going to persist on and have more books made in the future, so they can turn those books, like use them as spec scripts to generate movies and stuff. But it really feels like the DC universe should have just went out on one big bang right here and just kind of called it. Now it ends. You probably should have suspected, but no, I'm not going to say anything about that. We're done. We're done talking about this. I had a lot of fun with death metal. I'm not sure it made a lot of sense. It kind of meandered in some of the tie-ins. They don't really feel like they should have existed. They don't feel like they're necessary or even all that interesting to read. And some of them just felt like they should have been mainline books in the miniseries. So I don't know why they were one-shots. The art in the main miniseries, that Greg Capullo art, is just been so wonderful to look at. Every issue has just been a treat for the eyes. The spin-offs have been kind of varied, but all in all, I gotta say I'm pretty happy with Dark Knight's Death Metal number 7. This also feels like it's probably a jumping off point for me to stop reading DC books, because I'm not interested at all in some of this other stuff. I don't have it handy right here, or I would grab it and show it to you, but Justice League Dark number 29 is tying in with Endless Winter or whatever. Don't care at all about Endless Winter. This caps off like 2 years of DC storytelling, starting with that Justice League number 1 and going to now. And so they're off to do all new things, Future State, Endless Winter, who knows what other dumb events they'll have. I'm sick of events. I just want a book where Wonder Woman beats up villains or Batman punches some guy in the face because he's a bad guy. And there's no overarching gigantic plan like, oh man, Bane is taking over the city and we're going to have a 27 issue story arc about it. No, just give me a one-shot story with my favorite characters. Is that so much to ask? Apparently it is. You all have a great day. Let me know what you thought about death metal. I had to think about how I wanted to phrase it. Let me know what you thought about death metal. I know some people really liked it, some people really hated it. I had fun with it, and I tried not to think too hard about the shenanigans, because I think thinking too hard about the shenanigans would ruin the fun. So take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.